This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. There he is, the world traveler himself, Andy Behrens, ready to go. Where are you at? Singapore?
Yeah, pretty glamorous right now, Big O. I'm in a perhaps too public place at the Westin in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm enjoying it. You might be able to see the UAB football stadium behind me. I'm right by the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. It's pretty exciting. Now my daughter's here running in a track meet tomorrow. So
Nice.
I believe I heard you breaking. Were you breaking some Derrick Henry news there? Was that informed speculation?
Yeah. The Dolphins are signing Braxton Barrios. They're trading for Derrick Henry. They're bringing in Brady, and they're going to bring back Mike Pouncey to snap for him, and they're moving Connor Williams over to guard. Yeah, that's what we got going. By the way, are you shocked at how green that town is? Like there's a lot of trees everywhere. I've been to Birmingham, and
They're truly
nice. It's actually nicer than what people think.
Oh, it's been. I mean, we've only been here for a few hours, but it's treating us reasonably well so far. I didn't mind the drive in at all. The airport was easy. That's what I like.
Yeah. Those big airports are a pain in the ass. The small airports, quick and easy, in and out, bro. Yeah, you don't have to do that much walking. It's like,
it was 5 minutes off the plane to the rental car. It was amazing.
I know. I hate Miami. You get off the plane, and brother, you got to walk like 8 freaking blocks to get to the damn baggage area, and you're like, holy shit, dude, it takes forever. Atlanta's the worst.
Atlanta's bad. Yeah.
And when they switch gates on your ass in Atlanta, oh crap, now you got to take like a train, a monorail, 4 escalators, and then way down on the concourse, and then you're there. It's like
anytime I'm on a train with multiple stops or some sort of people mover that looks like it was from Desert Storm, right? Like those are the worst airport experiences. Birmingham was lovely.
Atlanta's the worst because they'll switch you gates, and you're like, you got to go to another gate where you got to get a train and all kinds of shit, and you've got like 6 minutes to get there, and you're like, what?
Yeah. Oh, they do that to you in Phoenix too. Not only do they put the Phoenix car rental in Scottsdale, but you always have to walk a mile.
It's crazy. All right. So Aaron Rodgers, does he retire? Does he go to Green Bay, or does he go to the New York Jets? What's your gut tell you on this one?
Well, as a Bears fan, I'm
get out of the division.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him to leave the division. It feels like he's going to leave the division one way or another. There were reports this morning about, and again, I've been traveling all day, but I don't think anything is broken on this. Seems like there's a good vibe between him and the Jets. It's a little bit weird to be that on the nose with the Brett Favre career path, right? But fine, whatever. Garrett Wilson is great, and I am fully prepared at the drop of a hat. Well, at the signing of Aaron Rodgers, anyway, I am fully prepared to rank Garrett Wilson as something like the wide receiver 7, wide receiver 8. I think that guy became a star last year. I don't think there's much left to do. You just really need to insert a competent quarterback. I would have been happy with Garrett Wilson being paired with, I don't know, somebody less than Aaron Rodgers. Derek Carr would have been fine with me. He just had absolutely abysmal quarterback play last season, and now you're talking about upgrading to, this isn't like the 2010 2011 version of Aaron Rodgers. I think we all understand that he's a little bit older, but man, when that guy gets a little bit of time, he's still just deadly accurate. He's like weapons grade accurate. So I'm pretty excited to see that with Wilson. Wilson, I was a little bit of a skeptic, and now I just feel terrible about having been skeptical at all last year, because I didn't get enough Garrett Wilson in dynasty leagues. I didn't get enough Garrett Wilson anywhere, and now he's on the verge of having Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. That's just as good as it gets.
And Breece Hall too, by the way.
Oh, well, that's another thing, and that's, we can point to 18 different things that Zach Wilson doesn't do well, but one of the things that he really, really doesn't do well is complete the layups, right? He's absolutely terrible at the simplest stuff. He can make the hero throw, right? He can put the ball 70 yards in the air. There are other guys who can do that, but I've never seen someone who is as inept at throwing screens, at hitting like I don't know. I just need a guy 10 yards downfield. I need a wheel route. I need just a simple receiver in the flat like the bunnies. I've hardly ever seen an NFL quarterback who's as bad at the easy stuff as Zach Wilson.
Well, you see, the problem here's where this is all your fault now. You don't blame this because see, you want him to do layups, and he's just into laid up. That's all. He's into the milk.
No, it's fair.
He's thinking
It's
of getting
very
laid. You're thinking about layups. He's thinking of getting laid, and that's that's where you're asking him to do something that that's not his strength.
Well, one thing
His
can be the path to the other thing.
Is hitting on the 44-year-old broad in section 227. That's that's his expertise there. What the hell is wrong with you, Andy?
Yeah, I'm sure his eyes are wide too after a few years at BYU. Had the restraints on probably while he was on campus there. So I get it. It's just that competence as an NFL quarterback will open a lot of those doors for you if he could just achieve it.
He doesn't get that part, that if he's successful on the field, he can also be successful off the field, but he's just worried about being successful off the field. So, it's a whole different, you just can't, it's one of those things. He's young, I guess his hormones have gotten the best of him, for now at this point. Maybe, you know what? Maybe he should hook up with Jada Pinkett.
That seems like something that can happen. Yeah, it seems like that is like all parties would be open to that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one that would work there. Your thoughts on Braxton Barrios getting released from the Jets? I got Dolphin fans already clamoring, saying they should they do need a returner since they traded Jakeem the Dream Grant, which I was personally depressed about that because he's a good returner, actually, not a receiver. That was the problem here, by the way. With all the injuries, they had to elevate him to like the number 3 receiver. And Jakeem Grant is supposed to be your number 6 receiver. He's supposed to be your last receiver that you use, like, break glass when emergency. But as a returner, he's excellent. Obviously went to the Pro Bowl. And then he got that contract from Cleveland. And, well, then, that unfortunately the poor kid got injured. But they need a returner. So what do you think about Braxton Barrios as a returner? Because I know he's not a big-time receiver.
Yeah, I think it would actually be it's something of a downgrade as a returner, right? But it's he's a good football player. And I don't mean that as like damning with faint praise or anything like that, but coaches love putting that guy on the field. He makes more plays than you would think someone like with his presumed talent level would make, right? Quarterbacks love him, coaches love him. So obviously, if he's been released, that's maybe a little bit of a knock against him. But man, that guy always finds his way into game plans, and he always finds his way into a handful of targets. So I it. Does it move the needle for a team to sign him? No, but is he a totally competent football player who's probably going to see a bunch of snaps? Yeah, sure.
Lamar Jackson, what happens, dude? People are they're jumping ship. I'm not really into the collusion crap. I think that people aren't looking at the big picture. You've got to give up a guaranteed deal that's what he wants. You've got to give up 2 first-round picks, and you must be willing to change your offense completely.
Okay, so that's
to accommodate him.
That to me is the key aspect of this. This is not like plugging in, Derek Carr. This is not like plugging in Andy Dalton. This is not like plugging in, sort of a paint by numbers pocket passer of a quarterback. This is somebody that you build the whole thing around, right? This is the new centerpiece of your offense, and your offense has to be very different from anything that you've run before. There's only a handful of guys that can slide into that sort of role. You need different sorts of receivers. You need different, you got to coach the offensive line differently. You need, you're talking about reshaping an offense from scratch. So this isn't a plug and play guy. This is, we draft for years to accommodate what we have in somebody like Lamar Jackson, right? It's just not as simple as saying, oh, we need a quarterback. There's a quarterback. Go get him.
I'm glad you and I see eye to eye on that one, because it's just, I think people just think like, oh no, it's like I laugh here in Miami. because of course Mike McDaniel's going to change his entire offense for that kid,
Yeah.
and then that kid can actually, or can that kid run Mike McDaniel's offense? No, he can't, because you need a pure passer to run this offense. Of course, it's a run-based offense, but hell, even this year he chose not to run at times.
Plus, the NFL is also a league where you need to build off what you've done last year and the year before, and you can't just shake the Etch-a-Sketch every season and say, okay, well, that didn't work, we lost with that, so let's try this other radically different thing. That's why the Dolphins are obviously in it for the long haul with the cast that they have, and that's the right thing to do. You have a coach that you trust, you have a quarterback that you pretty much trust, and you have the best receivers in football. So let's build on what we just did and build on how far we got this last year. That's how it's supposed to work. That's why we talk about year-to-year continuity all the time and the importance of it. And Lamar in particular is just not, I think he's wonderful. He's one of my favorite players to watch. But I'm not ignorant enough to think that you can just plug him in anywhere and say, okay, let's go do Lamar things, after never having had a guy like that.
Right. And you know what? A lot of people talk about, whoa, no, Washington. If I'm Eric Bieniemy, that's not what the guy I want to prove my worthiness of being a head coach or an offensive coordinator, because now I've got to make him an accurate quarterback, something he hasn't been 5 years into the league already at this point.
Well, plus, what is the strength of Washington on offense? They have a great receiving core. Terry McLaurin is great. That guy's like I don't know if we're calling him top 12, top 15. He's fantastic.
Easily top 15. Easily top 12.
Curtis Samuel is awesome. Dotson is awesome. Like, all Dotson did is catch a touchdown like every 5 or 6 receptions this year. Short stuff, long stuff. That receiving core is outstanding. So that is a team where I think you could plug in a lot of guys. Like, they would have been fine. They'd be fine for Jimmy. They would have been fine for Derek Carr. Like, I think that is a really interesting environment with absolutely outstanding receivers. Like, they don't have that one guy who's just an absolute top of the ranks receiver that gets everybody buzzing, but the combination of those 3 players is just phenomenal.
Then again, Terry McLaurin probably doesn't get enough credit for being a stud. That's the thing too.
No, that's what happens when you've been tied with that's what happens when you're anchored to Carson Wentz and nothing but sketchy quarterbacks before that. Like, but we're gonna see at some point Terry McLaurin is going to get himself a quarterback in the NFL, and it's going to be sensational.
All right, so where does the Lamar Jackson thing end? Just a holdout then?
I assume it ends with him in Baltimore. Charles Robinson wrote some really interesting stuff at Yahoo. Wrote some really interesting stuff in which he talked to agents about Lamar's situation. Like, I would like to think that this ends with Lamar actually getting an agent and an agent getting something done, because we got to be at that point pretty soon. Like, it's really easy to roll your eyes at the nature of the job of a sports agent or anything like that, but they're out there tampering on your behalf, right? They're out there making things happen when you simply don't have the time for those distractions, and you don't necessarily have the competence for it either, right? It's not what you do every day, every minute of the day. I hope it ends with Lamar getting an agent and getting something done with the Ravens, because that's the team that's invested the time in him. That's the system that's built around him. That is clearly the best landing spot for him. They would then need to go find some receiving assets too, but I still think that's the right spot.
I know a player in the league that had a pretty good year this year and was out of football. And if it wasn't for his agent, he wouldn't have had a job. His agent knew the general manager, and the general manager did the agent a favor by bringing the guy in, and the guy said, just give him a couple weeks, get him in shape, and give him a chance. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, you tried, it didn't hurt you. And the guy went on to have a pretty good season, contribute to the team a lot, and it was all because of the agent that made it happen. So any player that thinks you don't need an agent, it's ridiculous, dude. It's just stupid. Those people are working the phones for you. They have connections that you never will have. and then they're your buffer
Yeah.
for all of this stuff.
They're a pipeline of information. They
Yeah.
can, as you say, they can do all sorts of things on your behalf that you'll never have the time to do,
And
especially
the
in
ugly
season
stuff
when it
that's
needs to be
going on
done.
now, you don't want to be a part of this shit that's going on now.
No,
You don't want to hear what they really think about you and what warts you
right.
have and all that stuff. The agent, keeps you sheltered from that stuff, and it's just not a. Yeah, you can't imagine his mom is sitting there and you're actually telling his mom, well, we can't give your son a guaranteed contract because he's broken down the last 2 years, and he's not necessarily a great passer either. So what
Yeah.
and so it's this. I bet that the Ravens haven't even been able to really be themselves in these negotiations if they're really dealing with his mom, dude.
It's a
Seriously.
really good point. There's only so much you can say, right? You can't deal with brutal honesty. There's probably I don't know if the people I don't know what level of business acumen the people in the room actually have, but it is a different conversation entirely. And again, you're just not getting the pipeline of information that you would from any sort of competent sports
And
agent.
your agent is negotiating other contracts or has negotiated other contracts
Right.
in your position for whatever position you play in several times over now. So he's
Yep.
going to know all the ins and outs of it and what one guy got, one other guy was missing, what clause, this, that, all of these things that they're going to be able to protect you a lot better than somebody that's never put together an NFL contract. And to me,
Yep.
that's it's really it's really baffling to me that this guy has not figured out, and his mom, that they need an agent. I don't know how that doesn't cross your mind.
Yeah, that again is definitely where I hope this ends. And to your original point, just to reiterate, like this is absolutely not a guy that you can just plug into any system and expect it to just hum immediately, right? Like Baltimore has carefully over several years built a team to sort of support Lamar, and it's not finished, right? They need the better receiving core, but it just takes time in the NFL. It's not Major League Baseball. It's not, there's other sports where you can do this. Like NBA teams can reshuffle all the time, and you give them a couple weeks and stars figure it out. That is not how the NFL works. The NFL is a little bit more intricate than that. So I really do hope that he lands back with Baltimore, and I really do hope that he hires an agent and they just get this done, because it's not like this isn't fun to talk about. This isn't fun conversation. I do not enjoy the unless we're getting like big splash deals like we had last year, or like you're the Dolphins and you just landed Tyreek Hill. I don't, these offseason transactions and like business of football stuff is not why I got into it. I'd rather be talking about the Ravens outlook moving forward and which of these great receivers do they land in the draft or sign in free agency or something like that. I just hate talking about
And
the
the
moving
ridiculous
chairs.
part is an agent would have had his contract done 2 years ago.
2 years ago, absolutely,
His
absolutely.
third year, it would have been done. History in the archives. They would have moved on, and none of this would happen. It would be smooth sailing for them, and they can
Yep.
stay. But now you've lost your offensive coordinator. He left. So, and who knows? Maybe he left because he wants to be, like a full-fledged offensive coordinator, not a guy running a run-oriented offense all
Yeah.
the time. And it kind of reminds me of the Miami Heat. You're running a run-oriented offense that limits you in offense, and if you fall behind, you can't really play catch-up.
Right.
Hell, they led the Dolphins by 21 points, and Miami stormed back because they have a quarterback in a passing game, and yet when they were forced to match, they could not do it because that's not the way that offense works. So all of a sudden now you're playing an offense that really is antiquated, and it reminds me of our Miami Heat. The Miami Heat have it. You need a 2-point shot? We got it for you, bro. We got all the 2-point shots you want, Andy. But there's only one problem in the NBA. It's about the threes. It's not about
Yeah.
the twos.
Three
The
three
Miami Heat
remains a little bit bigger than two.
constructed.
Yep.
Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo would have been fantastic in the 90s.
Yep.
Fantastic in the 90s. Problem is that Pat Riley and company keep building teams from the 90s. And it's like, bro, you're in 2023. And I think that offense, that's the dangerous part of that kind of offense. By the way, Tennessee was kind of in that same boat, different ways, but you were counting on the one guy, Derrick Henry. Why? Because your quarterback wasn't a difference maker with his arm. And then that's the problem. He was just a facilitator, a game manager. And at one point or another in this league, you have to be explosive, dude. You have to be able to
more to the point in that conference, right? Like Kansas City is just a problem that's going to sit there for a decade, right? Like there's going to be different names in the receiving room and all that, but it's still going to be Patrick Mahomes for the next, you got peak Patrick Mahomes now for like the next 10 years, 12 years.
They're talking Hopkins.
Yeah, and that's
Hopkins to go there.
You're going to have to find a way to score with Kansas City for the next 10 years if you think you're a serious AFC team. You got to get to 37. You got to get to 35 all of the time. You've got to be the sort of team that can fall behind 14-0 and, like Kansas City, be like, whatever. What's 2 scores to us? We're gonna finish at 38. You've got to be that kind of offense, and you don't get there by playing slow. You don't get there by running the ball 45 times a game. It's just not how that's done.
All right, follow him on Twitter at Andy Behrens. What do you got going on Yahoo this week?
So much baseball. Fantasy baseball season is ramping up. We've got a million pieces of content out there right now.
By the way, you want another offensive juggernaut? The Miami Marlins, baby. That's right. 42-run differential. We've scored. Let me see. I took the notes there. They're 1-9. They got a 42-run differential right now, worst in Major League Baseball. We've lost 7 in a row, worst in Major League Baseball. And the 31 runs scored in 10 games, the worst in Major League Baseball. And
I'm just here to tell you I can't have Edward Cabrera fail.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. We beat Israel last night. We're in.
Yeah. All right.
We're good.
Turning it around.
We're good. We beat Israel. There we go. We're set. We're set.
Is Israel in the NL East? Are they?
Well, it's in some kind of East. But
fair enough.
Somewhere in the East. Yeah. So yeah, if you want a juggernaut, I'm sure you're talking a lot about the Marlins and draft
constantly. It's just nothing but Marlins talk. It's wall to wall Marlins talk. That's right.
It's a beautiful thing. All right. Follow him there at Andy Behrens. And of course, if you're getting ready for fantasy baseball, do everything but stay away from Marlins. That's the advice from Yahoo Sports.
Actually, it's not that bad, actually. If I had to sum it up in one sentence, that's pretty good.
Andy Jazz and stay away from everything else. That's kind of what they're going to tell you. Andy, appreciate you, bro. Hey, good luck to your daughter, man. I hope she kicks ass.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
You got it, baby. We'll catch up next week. Thank you.
Later, baby.
You got it. There you go. The great Andy Behrens. Yes, sir. Sports Grill. Oh, yeah. Hey, you want to watch the Marlins score no runs this season? Go to Sports Grill. You want to watch Inter Miami score a lot of goals and add Messi? Go to Sports Grill. When the Dolphins roll around, you go to Sports Grill. When the Miami Heat are in the playoffs, go to Sports Grill. When the Panthers are finishing up this season, I don't know if they'll be in the playoffs, but at Sports Grill, you can catch all the playoff games. You can take home your favorite sauce. It's a beautiful thing. Mondays, the Kendall location's got the rock and roll playing and the milkshakes going on all night long. So many things going on. The new Doral location is off the chain, baby. 8 awesome locations. Go to sportsgrill.com. Find the nearest location to you. Sports Grill, baby. Enjoy your sports. Enjoy the food. Enjoy the family.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.